Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Cynthia Lai. She is a former global banking leader, spent 20 years doing everything right until her body forced her to stop twice. So we will learn from her answers to the questions about the human responsibilities leaders should never outsource to AI, and how do you lead transformation fast without breaking trust or yourself. We'll learn about pattern of leadership, executive presence under pressure, and how to beat transformation fatigue without losing your team or your mind. Welcome to the show, Cynthia.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, Cynthia. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people, a lot of leaders across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about the human advantage in artificial intelligence that you talk about. So we'll talk about all this. But before that, let's understand a bit about your journey, your background, so that audience knows who they are listening to.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Cynthia Lai. I'm based in Hong Kong. So as you can hear from the introduction, I was a banker and I'm now an executive coach and also a lecturer. I'm also a co-founder of a tech startup. So that's why I'm very interested in how to maintain the human advantage in the AI era, because I was a people leader before and now I coach executive who are leading various teams across the world.
Absolutely, Cynthia. So, for the audience, how should we understand what is it that you are trying to say? What is it we say with what you are saying, with what you are doing?
Okay. So I think what I'm doing right now is actually supporting leader to be resilient in this AI era because all of us face too much changes. And at the same time, how do we use AI as a tools, but not something that will replace us? How can we equip ourselves to maintain competitive and at the same time be valuable to the team, to the company, and to our customers?
Right, right. So, if you are talking about leaders, how can you tell these leaders who themselves believe that bringing AI will save them so much of money? So they are pushing for AI not because it will help them become their lives better, but because it is talking about saving more money, more money, more money. So they think that it will be a good replacement for humans. That's the way. How do you think you can change these leaders' mind into understanding it that it is a tool and not a tool with a human mind? Help us understand from that perspective. It's like beating a dead horse, almost like that.
Yeah, I got your point. Definitely. Many leaders nowadays they bring in AI just because they have to. Okay. They both ask them to, their customer expect them to. But the reality is every time we do anything transformative, we are here to solve the business and customer challenge. And AI is actually another tool, just like all the technology we have before. So every time I talk to my customer, the very first question I ask is, what's the reason why you bring in AI? What is it for? What kind of business problem the AI can solve for you? Okay, maybe they will say is for operational effectiveness so that they can save money. Then definitely the next question is it what that AI can really do? Have you assessed different kind of things rather than risks and other consideration that you can think about? And more importantly, before the AI can really do the job of human, how can you ensure that your human, your team can support the AI to learn? Okay, I said all this not just because of reading all the like article and so, because I did AI before ChatGPT time. I was launching an AI chatbot at that time, and the very first thing we need to do is that as human, we have to organize all the FAQ from call center for the AI to learn, and afterwards we know that the AI need to be trained by human relationship manager, or they do not know how to handle customer answers. So that's kind of the truth. Okay, if you really want to launch AI to help you save money, then the very first thing is that you need human to help you train the AI. And how you do this is all about the leadership skill you have.
Right, right. Let's understand this for the audience. You talk about, real trade-off leaders are making, often unknowingly, as AI speeds everything up, what we gain in efficiency and what we risk losing in judgment, trust, and accountability. So a lot of if the people are doing it unknowingly. Let's give them the benefit of doubt. Why are they doing it unknowingly? Are they stupid? They have such a big team. They have got CTOs. They have got so many people from there. They have got their systems in place. How can they be doing it unknowingly? A leader has to show the way, not become, bring in systems that can, damage the company. I want to understand. And it means some are doing it knowingly. Then how do you again deal with such people who are not even ready to evaluate the thing first and then implement it, rather, first implementing it and then evaluating it? Help us understand from that perspective. Looks like we are being too kind with some of these leaders who actually should think first and then act.
Okay, so I actually use a very simple metaphor every time I talk to clients around AI projects. I just tell them around, okay, you can imagine that AI is just a new hire. Okay, you're hiring someone new to your company, can be a fresh grad, can be any newcomers. Okay, whenever you got a new hire, you need to know why you need to hire that new hire, right? You get his or her JD, etc. And then you also need to think about the performance management. You need to measure the performance so that you can know rather you will give them a salary increment, rather they can pass the probation and so. And you also got training in between so that you can ensure that particular new hire can do their job well. And you also do something to help them to understand the culture of the company. Okay. So if you put that lens, or if you live the metaphor I said about just now, you know that deploying an AI solution is not just like something that you buy a solution from a vendor. It's actually you need to think about all the things that surrounding that AI solution, the people, the system, the framework. Okay, everything need to interact in between. Just like when you have a new hire, you need all other team members on the team to get to know him or her, or else it doesn't work.
Right. So are these leaders listening? Who are these leaders who are listening to you, Cynthia? Is it an easy job for you, or is it a difficult job for you?
Actually, I talk to different kind of leaders nowadays, especially after leaving the banking industry. Some of them are the ones who are in charge of different kind of transformative project in the organization or in the companies. They are the one who need to drive the changes, okay? And they encounter quite a lot of resistance from people, okay, from humans, okay, because the human always believe that AI will replace them, okay, and that's why they have the resistance, they are reluctant to change, etc. I also talk to people who are kind of executing different kind of transformative projects. They are working really hard to launch the AI, and they know what's happening because they find that, okay, they are doing the technical part, and seems that there's missing pieces as well. Okay, after they finish the technical part, they see there are gaps around some other things. For example, the HR policy doesn't support yet, and the user, even the user, they do not have full understanding around what's happening. So I guess from what I learned from my clients, as well as what I experienced myself in the past in various banks, the truth is we are moving very fast with AI, much faster than we did previously. And that's why sometimes we skip some of the things that are kind of proven work, or that we know we have to do in the past nowadays.
Right, right. So how does this, treating AI as the new hire actually work on the ground? So does a AI, hiring tool hire the new hire, and then interviews it, onboards it within the system. How does that work? Or is it a human which hires this new hire called AI, and then start onboarding it? How does that work on the ground? Or it straightway comes in as a consultant or an expert and starts integrating into your system?
Okay, so it's more around building the framework. Okay, if you consider AI as a new hire, you are not just building a framework for onboarding the AI as a system solution or just a vendor solution. You are building the end-to-end journey for the relevant users. Okay, you will think about, okay, yes, today we buy a solution from the vendor is powered by AI. Maybe we have done some kind of API integration as well. Then, because we treat the AI as a new hire, we will also think about how to measure the performance of this new solution. Okay, we'll review it. Okay, we'll also train it. When we talk about training it, it's not just about by the few users surrounding the AI solution or just the relevant team, but maybe also someone who will use it in the future as well. Because nowadays, as we all know, take Copilot as an example, it's not a solution that only one team will use. Most of the time, the entire company will also use Copilot, but maybe the extent of usage is a little bit different. So I guess my metaphor around treating AI as a new hire is more around how you approach when you need to design a framework that can support you to deploy your AI solution in a smart way that can really help you solve the business challenge you have.
Right. Right. You also talk about, boundaries. What boundaries? Clear roles still can be understood, but in terms of boundaries for the new hire, how does that work?
Okay. So I guess nowadays, every time we talk about AI, we already talk about AI ethics as well, because AI is just so powerful. And it's quite hard for us to understand what really that AI solution do. The transparency is always a question mark to a certain extent. And most of the time, if you use an AI solution, the data will be stored on cloud. Okay. So when we think about the boundaries, it's more around the security part from my understanding or from my perspective, because I've been working in banks. Okay. Take banks or institutions that look for like really high standard of security as an example. When you deploy AI solution, you will think about, okay, rather we should store the data on our own server or on that AI vendor server. Okay, that's the number one question you have to think about. And then the next thing is, what kind of information will you allow your employee to input with the AI? Will you allow your employee to input sensitive customer data, for example, into that AI? Okay, definitely we will not allow that. Maybe we'll allow our employee to input aggregated data into the AI for analysis. It's safe, it's not sensitive, and at the same time, we can leverage on the AI calculating power. So I think boundary is more depends on the industry and also the risk appetite of the organization. But the key thing is, or the shared principle is, all the organization, they need to clearly define what are the things that the employee can input into the AI and what are the things that the employees should keep with themselves within the company server.
Right. Right, Cynthia. Now you talk about customer and business value. Either the AI can think on your behalf or think on customers' behalf. If it thinks about, can it think about customers as well as business at the same time? Because humans, they don't do that nowadays. They only think about value for themselves, value for their, top line, bottom line. That's it. Customers come last. That's why the customers keep on having those complaints, and that nobody listens. How will you train under such leadership that AI to believe, think about customers? Or will they only teach about, business value? What is business value here?
Okay, so I guess it's kind of a question around two areas. One is around how you train your AI solution. For example, if you are deploying an AI chatbot, definitely you can train it to an extent that it support both your business values, your business priorities, while taking care of the customer needs. Okay, definitely you can ask your vendor to help you or ask your own data scientist to help you to define that. That's one thing. On the other hand, this is also something that I'm helping my client around is how can we human, the leaders, use AI to help us to think not just from our own perspective, but also from our customer perspective as well. Okay, so years ago, before the AI stage, AI era, is quite expensive if you want to like recruit clients to do research to understand well through focus group, etc. But nowadays, you can ask AI to act in different kind of persona to give you kind of an initial view around different customers, okay? So that you can input more things from your customer perspective before you actually build your prototype or build some sample to get the real feedback from your customer. So I think the leaders, they can use the AI solution as kind of a thinking partner to help them frame their conversation, no matter it's for internal stakeholders or for customer conversation, to help them add perspective to ensure that they have more complete thinking around what they're going to propose. But it doesn't mean that they do not need to talk to their customer, but just help them to get some ideas or insight beforehand so that they can be more focused when they got time to talk to the human.
Right, right. One last thing I want to understand from you, Cynthia, is that, do we consider this new hire as one hire or many hires at the same time? How does that work?
Okay. So I guess it depends. Okay, I know this answer is really consultant feel, but when I work with my clients, my participant in workshop, okay, I will always ask them to treat the AI agent they're working with as one new hire. Okay, so that they will know, okay, every time they ask the AI agent to help, they need to give very clear instruction. They need to provide the context, okay, maybe describe a little bit around the stakeholder, etc., before they can get what they want, okay. But if you ask me if I'm talking to a leader who is thinking about, okay, deploying a new AI solution, I think the better approach is to consider that maybe you are hiring a new team, okay, so that you will consider more factors around. Okay, the whole idea is about helping you to think about the possibility and also the consideration you need for deploying an AI solution. Just to ensure that you think about all the pros and cons before you have it, instead of having it just because everyone have it.
Right, right, Cynthia. And suppose one day this AI hire becomes sick or falls dead. Who does its work? Because nobody else will know it, and by that time you have fired all the humans. What happens then?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. Okay, I think this actually relate us to all the news we read about. Okay, from time to time, digital and AI system got hacked, and like company or organization, they need to pay ransom around. Okay, so it's all about how you plan around that. Rather you have the back plan, rather you prioritize things around. Okay, for sure, after you have AI for the automation, it's very difficult to fall back to human overnight, okay, or 100%. But will you still have the resources to support the emergency, at least for the transition, so that you have some time to fix the AI solution, or you have some time to get the technical support required?
Absolutely. There is so much to learn about all this from you, Cynthia, and I'm sure a lot of leaders, a lot of companies would want to connect with you, also perhaps be your client. What's the best way for them to do so?
I think if they're interested to discuss further, I'm really happy to have a chat with them, and they can always find me on my LinkedIn and also my website.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much.